Hey guys.
What's up, Mary? How you doing, bro?
I'm good, chilling.
That's good.
Is Rich here today? Is he coming in?
I'm not sure, bro.
Can you send me his number?
He probably is coming.
Okay. Send me his phone number. It's good to see you. What up? It's good, Alex. How's your day?
Good. I'm hungry.
You're hungry? Why are you hungry? You didn't eat breakfast?
I had a banana.
You should make a
Speedway breakfast.
make smoothies.
What'd you get from Speedway?
Well, I always get this like sausage egg cheese wrap,
That's your go-to there.
and I got like this breakfast pizza too.
Scared to eat their food, honestly.
We don't need 30 sales of coffee, buddy.
Which seems like a smoothie place here.
Yeah, they don't want to see you anyway. Steve, what were you saying?
I
Speedway.
know it's a smoothie place.
You should get one of those, they're like $10 from Walmart, like little, has like a cup. You know,
Oh, it's like
it's like a lunch.
It's like a thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, obviously.
What are you eating, Steven?
It's like very easy, it's like a single
What?
serve.
Usual.
Instead of like an actual like big ass rubber and all that.
Do you have this?
Yeah, I have one.
Does it work good?
I put like a banana,
Are you guys
peanut
finished?
butter, and almond milk. But you look like you're
Yours, I think this is bigger, no?
Sometimes
That was the only one thing that I
just put banana.
No, I mean, this is
and then
good.
almond milk, and then mango. Maybe a mashed
Oh, are you on? This is cheap. I mean, do you like that one?
potato. I'm gonna smack.
This one's nice too.
No, this one's nice. I like
Shit
the
off the
smooth.
too long, bro. You know that's a necessity, not a.
Yeah, I think my page might be a little bigger. And it has more tabs, it has like 6 tabs. But I feel like I like college roll better because they're like.
Oh, really? I like the wide one better for some reason. College one's different.
I said, yes.
That's so cute.
With tabs.
No,
Yeah, I
this
hear
is only one with tabs. The other ones
After those two games, bro.
are like cheetah friends.
What happened to those two?
I won 2 of them.
I messed up on one, bro. I messed up.
Yeah.
I pressed the check, you know how we got a check mark in the
Like
app?
the first one,
I pressed the check mark by accident.
Mm.
And
That's when you
One.
come up with.
unfortunately, one every hour after that.
Oh, there you go. Until the time.
Did my latest be around this time? I'm just not sure. Look at it.
Is that real?
There's no way.
I think there's no one here today.
No, but on Zoom, I'm like, where is everybody? Okay, we got Barrios, where's Pat?
Hey, Faithy.
Hi, Mason. Will you turn up that girl, please? It's too loud, Mace.
What's up, Gene B? Good, Matt. What's up, Missy? What's up, E? What's up, Ride Dog? What's good with you, boy?
What's up, man? Good with you, bro. How you doing today?
Good, man.
I saw you doing that late night sit last night. Way to get it in.
No, it wasn't a sit. It's a trainee I had coming in. I was just doing a script review.
Oh, okay, wait. Either way, way to get it in on the late night tip, bro.
Try, bro.
I can admit people if you want. If
I
you
hope
have
everyone got their prayers in today, this morning. Started off the day,
I
right?
can admit people if you have other things to do.
Did you make that, Mason?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought you carved that for a minute there. I'm like, that's good. That's good craftsmanship.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's go to
I might just have it on my shoulder when I do a set.
this spot right here.
Works for me.
Shout out to Matt.
Focus on sales copy when
You're
you're.
gonna scare them.
I don't.
I'm serious.
I got one.
Fine. Do you go back and listen to the Wendy?
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, whoever painted those walls got some crazy cut game. I'll tell you that.
Still waiting for people.
And the wife did it herself for real.
Wow.
No, that's it. Coming in.
Okay. I mean, I just thought, okay. Last time there seemed to be a lot more people on here, and there's like a lot of faces that I don't see on here. So I just thought we were waiting around. But anyways, guys, are we ready to go?
Yes,
Can everybody
ma'am.
see me and hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, props to you guys for being on this call and intentionally growing and being willing to get better. It's about getting 1% better every day, 100%. Can you guys hear me and can you see me okay? Okay, loud enough for y'all? Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do today is just go over just like a few key things that I had to kind of learn the hard way. And I wish on the front end somebody would have, I mean, and they did, but I wish I wouldn't have had to learn some of this stuff through failure. And then I'll just open it up to some questions, but we'll go over some stuff when it comes to just retention, keeping business on the books, some mistakes that I made that I learned through, and some things that I changed in order to have like a better retention. I feel like, guys, when you're brand new, a lot of times it's just about like, you get very, very excited that you make a sale. It's exciting. It's like you're learning a new skill set. A lot of us don't have experience in sales, so we go through some sits and it's just like no sale. We get somebody, they pick an option and it's just like, yay, and we forget about everything else. We forget that this is a long-term game, not a short-term game. I mean, it's not like anything else that we've ever done before. I mean, we're not out there making a transactional sale. We're not trying to sell vacuum cleaners. They need to keep this stuff forever. It's not a one-time payment of $500. So keep that in mind, guys. And I know last time I came on this thing, some of you guys are brand new, but I preached a little bit about showing bigger, which is good. We don't want to show small, and I don't want you guys to get from this workshop the impression that we need to show $20, $30, $40 checks. In some situations, yes. I mean, we still do want to show big, but it's situational awareness. That's what it comes down to when it comes to showing options. Now, a good gauging point is 3 to 5% of income, but again, it's situational awareness. Sometimes people can't afford more stuff going on in their life that you're figuring out throughout the sit is going to help you gauge that. Is this person irresponsible with money? Is this person saving? That kind of helps you kind of piece together, are they spending money on insurance other places? You know what I mean? They might make $12,000 a year, but they're already spending $90 on a term policy. They can just spend $90 on a whole life policy through us and have permanent coverage. But if somebody is making $12,000 a year and they have no life insurance and they don't have a bank account, and you go and you sign them up for a bank account, it might be a little bit irresponsible to sell that person a $90 a month policy. So there's no black and white rule book, guys, and this is stuff that you learn over time. But don't show options and get very, very excited and just jump into the app and go for the bank account. When somebody picks an option, we need to make sure that it's comfortable for them and they're going to keep it forever. I mean, I think all the teams have a different solidification. So I'm not going to go into verbiage as to exactly what to say because I don't want to go against anybody's upline and always go to what your upline says. But I know when I was new, a lot of times I would get excited and I would skim through some of that kind of stuff. We don't want to do that. I mean, like I said, it's not about posting an FOC pick. Like if we post an FOC pick, yeah, we maybe get a little bit of immediate attention for that. But then on the back end of things, if that deal falls off, I mean, it means nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, somebody picks an option, do your solidification, make sure that it's 100% comfortable for them. Make sure it's not going to prevent them from paying rent. It's not going to prevent them from buying food. I mean, after that, if they're going to make adjustments, they're going to make adjustments, and then that's okay. But like I said, we want to make sure that we're not overselling people. We're being smart. Right now, with the demographic of people in a lot of our lead packs, we do get a lot of Chicago leads. and they're not bad. They're good. It's a blessing to be able to have them, but we have to be careful with some of these members that are making $12,000, $25,000, $24,000 a year. I mean, sometimes even $36,000 a year. If they're making $1,000 to $3,000 a month, just be careful with those types of people. And you should never prejudge anybody, but we do not want to be selling them options that are $400 a month, $300 a month, $200 a month. Like we want to make sure that we're being safe, we're gauging stuff. And a lot of people will go and open up bank accounts for people. I don't believe that that's the best idea. I think if somebody is going to take the initiative and do it on their own, like they'll actually open up the bank account themselves, then it shows a little bit of drive in them. But they're gonna have to get into the habit of putting money into that account every single month. And if you go and open up that bank account for them, they don't even have the initiative to do that. So what is going to make them have the initiative to put money into that account every single month? So I'd say situations like that are very, very important to be aware of. Now, when we're doing things virtually, we need to make sure that throughout the presentation, people are paying attention. It's very, very easy when you're behind a computer for people to just zone out and they're not fully understanding what you're saying. And that causes cancellations. When people don't fully understand something, they don't keep it. If they're buying just to buy. So I'd say a few key things with that. When you're presenting, emotional contagion is so, so important. You have to convey energy throughout your presentation, moving your hands around a lot, slowing down and speeding up, your voice flux, getting louder, moving around, bringing your personality into it. That's all stuff that draws people in. That's all stuff that makes you to get 2 hours in the presentation. People think that they've been on for 10 minutes with you. They don't want to get off. Rather than complaining, I've been on this sit for 2 hours, when are we getting off? They're thanking you at the end because they're entertained. You have to be an entertainer with this kind of stuff. So I'd say the emotional contagion is a really, really, really big thing. And emphasizing important things. This is so, so important, guys. The reason that this is so, so important, really, really being like over exaggerant with everything that we do, keeps them engaged, keeps them paying attention, keeps them drawn in. Using tie downs, guys. Does that make sense? Do you understand why they set this up? I can't say this enough. I mean, when I wrote out with Casey when I was brand new, he told me that I used too many of these things. But like, I feel like you can't. I mean, you can be a little bit excessive, but like that's what keeps people drawn in and engaged. At the beginning of your sit, make sure that you're telling them, hey, grab a phone charger. Last thing you want is to be rushing through an application. Last thing you want is to be at 5% on an application and not get through the end of the stuff because their phone's dead. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. So make sure at every single sit, as soon as I get them on the phone, I say, hey, guys, make sure that you have a phone charger. Make sure you have a pen and a piece of paper. We're going over a lot of important information. And guys, I mean, I do respect your time. We're going to try to get through this stuff as fast as possible. It's just Zoom. It tends to drain our battery really, really quick. It makes it go from like 100 all the way down to 0. And then they get it and they give you a little bit less pushback. But stuff like that helps as well, making sure that they are taking notes throughout everything. So opening it up right, getting control right from the beginning, because control is a direct correlation to retention. So I'd say that's all super, super important. And then again, throughout the presentation, bringing emotional contagion, continuously using tie downs, and then showing options based off of the situation, based off of what's going on in their life. I mean, pay attention to stuff. Remember that these are people and life happens. Gauge how they are with their spending. If they've got kids, some of the lifestyle choices that they make. And don't prejudge, but use awareness when it comes to this kind of stuff. And then show options. And the way that I show options, guys, I mean, I show option A is something obnoxious that I know that they can't afford, that I know that doesn't fit into their budget. And I don't want them to go with option A, and there's something wrong if they do go with option A. B, I show something that's, I know they can afford, but it would be a little bit uncomfortable. And then C, that's something that I know is 100% comfortable with them. Now, if somebody picks option A, if like I had a guy that picked a $470 option and he made 80K, so he could have afforded it. I went to Solidification and I said, hey, are you sure this isn't going to take any food off the table? It's not going to change your lifestyle. He goes, well, I wouldn't be able to buy the car that I wanted, but I'd be able to afford it. I feel like in that scenario, if I was brand new, at first I'd be like, okay, well, he said he can afford it, write him up. He makes 80K a year, write him up. But the thing is he was 26 years old. He was young. You know how 26-year-olds think. They think based off of immediate gratification. So if that kid can't buy the car that he wants because of his life insurance, 2 weeks go by, what's going to happen is that kid is gonna give me a phone call back and he's going to be like, I decided I want my car, because he's not thinking about the life insurance. It's not an emotional contagion anymore. So I lowered him down to an option that was like $200 and something a month, which was more than comfortable for him. So just be smart about stuff, guys, and base it based off of the income. Now, whenever you do follow through with the solidification, make sure that you're taking time throughout the app and building rapport. This is when you really want to slow down. I feel like some people go a lot faster throughout the application. This is when we want to slow down and really make sure that we're not making them feel like we're just in that to make a sale. This is when we want to build a relationship with them the most, I would say, in the application. And we're going over the most sensitive information here. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody's been in a position where they've felt like they've gotten a sale, but then somebody won't give them a social or a bank account. It sucks. It's a shitty feeling. So, like throughout that, you want to make sure you're building a relationship. Throughout the application, make sure at that point, I mean, I have 2 numbers. I don't know how many of you guys have a sideline and a personal number. I always tell them at the end, I'm just like, hey, save my personal number. I mean, that number I called you off, that's my business line. You can call either one. I'm just like, either one. I mean, I'm there. I make them aware that I'm running a very, very, very busy schedule. I'm like, guys, I'm like back to back to back. That way they're not expecting me to be there like in an instant, because that's happened to me as well. But like they understand, but I promise you guys, I'll get back to you in between sets. If you have a question, just leave me a phone call, give me a voicemail, I'll give you a call back. You can shoot me a text message. A lot of times people feel a lot more comfortable when it comes to text messages than they do to calling, especially when it's something uncomfortable. And here's the thing, if somebody's going to cancel their life insurance, if somebody wants to lower their life insurance down, you want to have the relationship with them for them to come to you first, so they don't call home office, because if they call home office, there's nothing that you can do about it. So, I mean, you want to make them feel comfortable, like it's okay, guys, if you reach out to me. Like you, in this scenario, like you don't want to be such of a hard sell that they don't feel like they can ever come back to you. The FOC pick, I'm always taking that, telling them that I'm going to save their number in their phone. That way, God forbid they do call 10 years down the line and you do anything, their face pops up. I can kind of piece things together. Stuff like that. Promising that I'll be there for them. I tell them about the layoff waiver. I said, if you ever get laid off from your job, I mean, the company will actually waive your premiums for 3 months out of every year. Please do reach out to me. Anything like that does happen, we can help. And if they know we're there to help, then a lot of times they're willing to reach out. But those are just some few key tips in order to sell like the right way on the front end. And then I'll answer a few questions on this, and then I want to go over like a few things when it comes to getting business back on the books, or like handling objections, or like whenever people want to cancel, what to do. But as far as like anything I went over right there, because I know I talk really fast, does anybody have any questions on that?
Really quick, Ash. Oh,
Yeah.
You're better looking than me. Go ahead, Rod. You're first.
Now, I was just gonna say, so you make option C, not like the bare minimum. You make it like you said. You put option C is where what will fit right into their budget, correct?
Yeah, I know it's comfortable for their budget, option C. Like, I mean, I And then I would go down to option D. Like I'll just lower it down if it's just they are absolutely unwilling to do it. But yeah, C, I don't really make it the bare minimum. I make it something that I know is comfortable for them. I know in my head that they can't 100% afford. B would be they can afford it, but they'd have to make a few changes. And then A, like I don't want them to go with A because it's price conditioning. So like I want them to see A and be like, whoa, that's a lot of money, and then see B and okay, that's not too bad, and C and realize it's comfortable. And honestly, guys, like if somebody gives me some kind of sob story, like I'll lower them down to a D, which is like a bare minimum, and I'm not gonna push them and force it down their throat. Like I'd rather them have something than nothing. And I do go down to like a D, like quite a bit. But if you don't show big, you'll never get big. But again, you want to be smart about it. Like it's very, very important to be smart about this kind of stuff. And it's something you learn over time. It's hard as a new person, but just don't be like a lot of us were when we first started and we were writing 3K, 4K, 2K deals with low income people. And then those deals were falling off. Like, don't do that. It's better to write 1,000 ALP and have it on the books than write a 3K deal, get all this praise because you wrote this big deal, and then 6 months down the line, not get paid your bonuses because your business is all falling off. And it's just, like I said, that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be a problem as long as we're smart about it. And as long as we watch our business, because that's something I didn't do either. When I was brand new, it was all about running and gunning. And I never actually had an organized system as to how to watch it. Now I've got a little box where I keep all the policies that I sell in a file cabinet based off of month. So if an issue pops up, I can pull it. And on the other side of my desk, I have a box with all my mods and bulletins and print offs so I can keep it organized. And I'd say that's like the biggest thing, the biggest game changer in this deal is staying organized with it all, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And then I have a little thing with all my schedules and PSR forms. So it's prepared, it's organized. I know where everything is and I'm not scrambling around. They got little folders in my email. So anytime I'm trying to follow a trend with a client, something going back with like home office, I create a little like folder for them under like another folder that says clients. That way I can watch it and I can go back to it until the issue is resolved, because home office a lot of times takes a little bit to get back to stuff. But I just went on a tangent based off your question and that wasn't the answer. But as far as that goes, does that answer what you're saying? Does that make sense?
Just one more thing. Whenever you're showing the options and then showing the price, how do you go about that?
The options and then the price?
Like
Okay.
you know, because you don't want them to see all the prices at once, right?
Right. So what I do is I got little wheels on my board. If you don't have wheels on your board, I would recommend like what Matt Hunsberger does is he does like a freedom of choice certificate, and he uses magnets, or at least he did when I was brand new. I don't know if he still does this, but he like covers it with magnets so they can't see the prices. As for me, like what I'll do is I'll roll my bullet board over here so they can't see it. I write it out. And then like I explain to them before I pull it back over what I'm going over. And I always say, hey guys, I never show term unless they say that they want term. Then I show term. And some people are weird and they are just sold on term, and then I'm not going to fight them. I had a person like that last month, but I always show them whole life and accidental. Most of the time, 99% of the time, I'm showing 200 grand of accidental. Mindset behind that is it's literally 100 grand for $8, $16 for $200,000. I mean, if you explain that to somebody, they always say that they want it. Like if you go into it, like, again, I'm going on a tangent here, but I'll just kind of run through how I actually show options. So I always explain to them, I'm just like, hey guys, so I wrote down a few different things. They never, ever, ever want to show you something that you need, but you can't afford. Always blame it on them, not you. Like you're not showing them options, the union is. So they had me write down a few. So what I wrote down for you are those permanent guaranteed whole life options. And I give them a quick refresher as to what whole life is. So those policies, they lock in your 42-year-old age and health. They never ever go up on you. They build cash value that grows at a 4.5% interest rate, and you get that 25 to 30% discount because you're in SEIU. And then I also wrote down accidental. Accidental is very, very cheap, very, very affordable from a statistical standpoint, Joe. If you die anytime soon, it's 100% going to be from an accident. And what that does is it gives you a lot of additional payout without increasing the premium much at all. So most people grab it, do what you want with that. It's about $16 for 200 grand of coverage. They always say they want it when I do that. And then it adds $16 onto your ALP. You know what I mean? If they're in perfect health, always just put on the waiver premium. Like, don't even give them an option, because it's in their best interest. A lot of people I've run into as POSs are disabled and they don't have the waiver premium, so now they have to pay for the life insurance. It's in their best interest. It's like a $3 or $2, depending on how old they are. But anyways, after I explain what I'm showing them, and I say A is more of the cure-all end-all, guys. To be completely honest with you, it's probably a little bit more than we need. It's what people that are super financially savvy go with. Option B, I mean, that's what it would 100% recommend for your age group. And C, that's the bare minimum we see everybody in your age group covered with. And most people, guys, I mean, most people go with something like B. Not saying that to influence you at all. It just, like I said, A's, it's the cure-all end-all. It's a little bit more than you need. And I don't want you to feel pressured. Like you have to go with something like that. There are other options out there. And then I pull my board back over and then I go over them, and they do see all the pricing at that point for me. I know, like, so the way Matt Huns does it is he like individually moves the paper so that they can see the price at that time. But at that point, I've already explained it. So I don't really care if they see it all. And then I just say, okay, so option A, again, like I said, more of the cure-all end-all. I reiterate it. We've got $100,000 of the permanent whole life guaranteed option. It's going to pay out no matter when, no matter how, and 200 grand of accidental. So your family's going to receive a $300,000 payout if you die in any accident. That's only $200 a month, about $50 a week. And then option B, so I'll just go through it that way with all of them, and I'll be like, we just need to figure out which one fits your need the most and which one makes the most sense to your family. And then I get off of the screen like halfway and pretend that I'm doing something and let them process it. You don't want to just sit there and look at them. It makes it awkward. They feel like they have to say something and it puts them under pressure. But if you just kind of move, it allows them to process it. If there's a couple, they can talk through it. You don't want to like completely leave, because then some people don't need a lot of time to think about it. But you want to make sure like they know that you're still there. I don't know if that's helpful. Again, I went to an over explanation.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I got a quick one, Ash.
Yes,
Whenever
Mason.
you said the layoff waiver, what did you say layoff waiver paid out? If they're disabled or if they're laid off for 3 months, we pay it for a year?
No, 3 months out of every year we pay their premium. So we've got the strike and layoff waivers. So if they ever get laid off from their job, the company will actually fund their premiums for 3 months out of every year, and they don't have to pay that money back ever. And that's like
3 months out of the year.
Yeah. And that's like a huge thing, guys, with the laborers, because a lot of them guys, they consistently don't work for a season. So then they don't have to pay for their life insurance for three months. And then you do the math on it and it makes the premium significantly cheaper.
Cool.
Any questions so far?
Yeah, Ashley, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes. Who is it?
It's Faith.
Okay. Hi, Faith.
Hi, Ashley. So, first thing, when you're showing options, you said that like option A is like obnoxious, like, not affordable. So would that be like 200K for you of whole life?
It depends on their age and their finances.
Right.
Like for the 26-year-old guy that I sold the other day, I showed him $500,000, 300, and then 200. And I knew that $300,000 was affordable for him and 200 would have been comfortable. But like to get $500,000 of coverage, I mean, that was like $400 and something a month. You didn't need $500,000 of coverage. Like it just wasn't something that was it was above what he needed. you know, so it just really depends on like the situation. Now, if it's like a lower income person, like let's just say if it was somebody that was making $30,000 a year, at that point I would have showed her probably 200, 100, and 50. And I maybe would have pushed a little bit for it, just depending on what's going on in her life. Because sometimes people that make $30,000 can afford like $80 a month. Sometimes they can't. It just really depends on their situation and them, and shot for either B or C for that. And I would have tried to push her down if she went for option A. But it really depends, you know.
Yeah. So
I
then
hope-
like,
What were you
I was
gonna
gonna say, some people will like do option C as like only like they'll try to make option C like at least 1,000 ALP, like $80. Like, what do you try to make the minimum for option C then? Again, I know it's situational, but like,
I'd
what
say
did you
that's
try
a good rule of thumb to do a minimum of 1,000, but not if they're low income.
Okay.
Not if like they're making $1,000 a month. I mean, from there, just be smart about it. You know what I mean? Gauge their situation. I would say that is a good rule of thumb, like 1,000 ALP for the option C, but like it just really, really, really depends on the person and what they're telling you. And just remember, guys, that these are people. It's so easy to get into the mindset of we're in sales, like everybody fits into a box. They don't. Like, these are people. They've got real life stuff going on, and you have to take their situations into consideration, and you can't put everyone in a box. And that's why I go through dry sales spells in this business. And that's the number one reason why I miss sales, is because I get in the mindset of this is a numbers game. I get into the mindset of I just need to make the sale. I need to do the presentation, and I forget that these are people. And whenever I remember that they're people and they're human beings and I can't script this thing, that's when I close everybody. So I'd say like that's the biggest thing, to just really have a heart behind it. And there's something like, and I'm not saying that you don't, because I know that you're a good person, but I'm just saying this from a general accusation. It's just like, it's crazy because like people can feel like the disposition of your heart. If your intention is to serve them, your intention is to add value to them and make a difference in their life, people feel that, even if it's behind a computer. If you're, I know other people are looking at me like I'm crazy. But if your intention's right, like people, they know that you're doing what's in their best interest. And if your intention is to just go through the motions and go through the script, and that's what I did when I was brand new. I was trying to get the script right so much, and that was my focus, and I couldn't sell anybody because I was so focused on trying to say the words on that script right. It's important we have a script, but like the most important thing is just slowing down and speeding up and realizing that these are humans that we're working with. Emphasizing with them, understanding where they're coming from, engaging what's going on in their life and what they really need, and having the right mentality about this stuff too, guys. So we do have to be sold on the product, and we can't just be like, this person's got this, and this going on, so we can only sell them $20 a month. I mean, you have to have the mentality again that this is important. It can't be canceled for them, but it is one of the most important things. Rent, food, life insurance. Most important thing in your life. You die, your family's going to be in a bad spot if you don't have this kind of stuff. But also, again, being human about it and being realistic. And is this person going to keep it? Is this in their best interest to sign up with this kind of payment every month? Are they going to be able to sustain it? I don't know if that helps at all. I wish I had a simple solution for that, but I'd say 80 is a good rule of thumb. But again, it just really depends.
Okay, thank you.
Ashley, I had a two-part question.
Yes,
real quick.
Steven.
So I know you said your option C isn't necessarily the bare minimum, but
Yeah.
the way you tell them, you pitch it like it is the bare minimum, right?
Right.
Okay. And then when you're going over the options, like after you show them, I assume you use your needs analysis, like kind of compare what it's covering for each, what each option is actually doing for them, what it's going to do for their family, something like that.
Like tell them, like I really don't, honestly. Some people do, and I don't think that's a bad idea. Sometimes, every once in a while I do, but most of the time I just go over like the numbers with them and what it is. because I feel like if I already have a tendency to over explain stuff, and like I might be giving them just too much content if I'm just like, okay, option A, that's going to cover this, this, and this. Option B is going to cover this, this, and this, and option C is going to cover this. It just adds too much fluff and too much verbiage into like the options for myself. If I'm closing them, then I throw that kind of stuff in, but I don't really have to close people that much. Like I don't really have to go back and forth with them and argue with them that much. I mean, if I do, like, that's when I start to kind of get into, well, like, we don't have anything for the funeral. That's most important. At least option C would cover the funeral and final expense. I mean, right now, if we had not, we would have nothing. And then I'll start to go into an explanation there and say that's why we need to figure it out. But I really don't when I just show them.
I gotcha.
But again, listen to your upline, because Vince and Matt may have a better way of doing stuff.
No, I mean, that obviously it's working for you. So thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Is that just the both parts of the question, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was really just two separate questions, but.
Oh, I answered them both.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Does anyone have any other questions on that end so far? Nope. Okay. So most of the people on this call are new, and I mean, we got a good variety of people on this call right now. I'd say we got some brand new people, and I don't want to scare you guys by doing this. I just want to help so that when you guys get to be where I'm at, and this stuff does start happening, or if it does, that you are prepared. So if you're smart about it, retention shouldn't be an issue. If you watch your mods and bulletins and print offs and you stay organized, it really shouldn't be an issue. If you don't oversell people, you focus on doing what's in their best interest, you should be fine. But it probably still will happen. People have buyer's remorse, life happens. I mean, sometimes people cancel. So I think like the best way to go about getting somebody back on the books, best way to follow up with somebody, well, number one, if they call you and want to cancel, this is how personally I would handle something like this. So if somebody wants to cancel, act like it's the biggest blessing in the world that they contacted you. This is meant to be a long-term solution, not a short-term fix. And you're just be very, very like understanding about it. Then what I do if they want to cancel is I tell them that there is some paperwork that we do need to complete. The policy is already processed. Again, depending on the situation, of course, it's easier to get them back on Zoom and just remind them why they got the policy, resell them a little bit on the coverage, and try to lower them down a little bit if they haven't already called the home office and canceled. That's the easiest way to really do it. So I tell them we need to get on it. There is an edible PSR form. I can give them control of my screen on Zoom and have them type in their name, and they think that they're completing paperwork in order to cancel their policy. It's really just something that I do to try and save the deal. I tell them there's a few parts to it. I say the next part that happens is home office is going to send them some cancellation paperwork in the mail. So what I do next is I call home office and I get them switched on to direct bill so that their next payment doesn't come off. And if it was something that was recently sold, I have Jackie no pro it. If they no pro it, it's not going to affect our retention. Then from there, after they get it switched to direct bill, I ask them to send them the cancellation paperwork in the mail. And then just have them physically fill that out, because that's what home office is going to do anyways. If the client calls into home office in order to cancel it, they're going to send them that same paperwork out. But you don't want your clients calling home office, because you don't want home office having a bad record of you, all these notes of just all your clients calling in to cancel. You want to be able to act as the middle guy. And if you just directly like point them there, then I mean, you have no way of fixing it really in the future either. They know that they can always call and cancel. And there's been people that like literally have canceled on me, and I've followed up on a few months later and they've started it back up again. So the most important thing is just like the relationship aspect of it, keeping that, knowing that they're there and not like writing them off, and just understanding their situation. Most of the time when you do something like that, you should be able to lower them down to something, but it's just a way to really handle it. If they're telling me they got this, this, and this going on in their life and they're wanting to cancel and they're adamant about it, I'm really not pushing them to keep the same thing I signed up for them. My goal is to save my retention by trying to lower them down. And then you would just fill out a PSR form and submit that to the company in order to actually lower them down. So that's how I would handle something like that, if they want to cancel. Now, if they call home office and cancel, if we have business that's going incomplete because of NSFs, they're not going directly through me, I'm following up with them and I'm acting like it's the biggest problem and concern in the world. It's emotional contagion again. If you act shocked that somebody canceled their life insurance, like it's the worst thing in the world that could have happened, people feed that and they get scared as well. They follow your lead. So if you're just like, you don't want your life insurance, you canceled your life insurance. Wait, what? And you act like you're completely shocked and just like you've never heard of that before. And you create like a sense of urgency behind as to why they need it. And just things like, well, I mean, Joe, when we sat down, we were able to lock in your 42-year-old age and health at that union negotiated rate. And this is something that is going to be in place for the rest of your life. And we have to get this back on the books and this issue resolved right now, because if we wait any longer, then the premium is going to go up and then you're going to be paying more money for the rest of your entire life. So that's why it's so important we get this issue resolved right now. And then I do it all over the phone at that point, and I solidify with them to a T about like when I save those deals. I solidify to a T. If anything comes up in the future, reach out to me. If you don't have money in your bank account, reach out to me. I'll be able to help. If you call home office, they can put a hold on a policy for like, I think 12 days or something if they go on a staff. And you want these people to be comfortable enough to reach out to you first if something like that does happen. Because it's embarrassing if you don't have money in your bank account. It's embarrassing if like you're going NSF, and people, they're people, remember that. And they don't always want to admit that or tell somebody that. So you have to create the comfort level with them that you're not going to judge them. You've been through hard stuff too. Like you understand what it's like to struggle. And like, I don't tell them my whole life story in a sit, but I do relate to them and I connect with them and I empathize with them. And I let them know that like, they're not alone in some of the stuff that they're struggling with. And that builds trust. And then they reach out when they are going through stuff like that and the deal is able to be saved. So like when something actually does fall off the books, that's when I'm creating a sense of urgency about it. I'm acting like it's like the craziest thing in the world. It's unheard of for somebody to cancel their life insurance. And then they're feeding off of my energy and following my lead. If they really can't afford it, then from that point, I'm going to lower them down. But to be completely honest, like that's how I got most of my business back on the books. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but like, I was running and gunning when I was brand new and I wasn't managing my back end and I had a lot of stuff that fell off. So last month in April, it was a month of resetting, learning how the back end of the business, learning how to get stuff back on the books. And that's what worked for me. Creating a sense of urgency about it, and emotional contagious, telling them that they have to do it and being very assumptive with getting stuff back on the book. So this is what we need to do. We have to do it right now. People would tell me, okay, well, I got this, and this going on. I mean, you listen to them and you're just like, I completely understand, Joe, but here's the thing. They only give us, like I said, a certain amount of grace period, and this thing's going to go up for the rest of our life. And we can't afford for it to go up for the rest of our life. And that's why we have to get this taken care of right now. And then they do it. And then from here on out, keeping the relationship with them and watching it and making sure that it doesn't happen again. But does anybody have any questions on any of that? Hi, Javon.
I got a question, Ashley.
Yes.
So when you're dealing with, and thank you for all this information too, by the way. I was on here the whole time. I just didn't have my camera on. I'm sorry.
You're good.
I was on a Zoom meeting, but anyways, whenever you're dealing with the back end stuff and like you have a client that you're trying to get a hold of, like you're calling them, and they're just not answering. And you might even try to use like a Google Voice number or something like that. Like, how do you maintain trying to still keep in contact with them? Do you like still stay persistent on calling them, or do you like give them some time, or?
So I'd say be persistent, call them from different numbers. I have 2 phones and then I've got my sideline number. So I'd call them from different numbers. I'd text them. Sometimes people are just uncomfortable with answering the phone, but they'll text you back and then have somebody else call them for you. Like I had a client last week that I just like wasn't answering. Her mom wasn't answering me. And then Austin called him and the mom answered for Austin. And I'm like, what the heck? I've been calling this mom forever. And then the mom said the daughter's phone was broken. So then we got the situation resolved. So I'd say like be persistent about it. I'm really working on my organization, but I have like little whiteboards on my wall with like a list of all the people that I need to constantly be contacting and kind of remind about, just so I remember to do it. I've got a planner where I've got an ongoing list, my emails. And I would just say, like, honestly, you never know when somebody's going to reach out. And if you, oh my goodness, I'm about to sneeze. When you blow them up enough, I think eventually it'll happen. I mean, luckily you're in person too. So another thing you could do is you could drive out there. But the biggest thing with that is I just feel like when it comes from a time perspective, even with when you are in person, it takes so much time to drive out somewhere when you're not running in that area. And then if they're not home, then you wasted that entire drive there and back. So
yeah,
I didn't really do a lot of the in-person and door knocking at all. One person I went to in person because I needed an oral from her. But other than that, I did it all pretty much over the phone. I wish I had a simple solution for you.
No, yeah, I definitely get it. It's definitely not simple. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions at all from anybody when it comes to any of that? Nope.
I don't have questions about that, but I have other questions.
That's okay. We've got like 14 minutes, so go for it.
I already know you're planning June to be like a massive month for you, right?
July. June's more of a development month.
Okay. I thought it was June that you were planning, but so in July is when you're planning to get that.
Well, I'm planning on having like a bigger month than I ever have before in June, but July is going to be a massive month. We're working on just putting some systems into place right now in order to have a massive month in July. But it takes some time to get that in place.
And no, I was just wondering like what you were doing to like prepare yourself for that. Like how do you like get ready to like
have a massive month like that?
Yeah.
So, well, right now, I mean, for myself, like I wasn't focusing on a lot of the mind, body, spirit component of things. So I'm working on that right now. I'm also working on developing systems. I'm a big advocate of outsourcing. So what you do is you look at this deal as a long-term game, not short-term. So I'm not in this for the advance. I'm not in this for the cars and stuff that I can buy immediately. So I spend my advance on things that are gonna move my business forward. I have 3 laptops. I've got 2 phones. I mean, I've got just an obnoxious amount of things that increase my production by a little percent. And then like that 1% makes the biggest difference in the world. I mean, that's what I primarily spend all my money on right now, is things that are going to move my business forward, because I don't care about having nice things right now, because I'm 26 years old. I don't need anything nice right now. I mean, what I need is, whenever I'm in my 30s and I have a family, to not have to work and to be able to take them wherever I want in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'd rather have that than anything fancy right now. So it's delayed gratification, and looking at it as if I'm doing this for the residuals rather than the short term. So pay people to do stuff for you. So you have to pick up your momentum, because it took me a while to get here. Get really good at sales yourself. Start making money. When you start making money, start spending it on your business. So, I mean, that's what I do. So like, it helps me, it helps my production to have multiple computers, multiple phones. I'm in the process of, I am hiring and training, like, I hired 6 phone setters, and the goal is to have 3 of them to work for me, but we're in the process of developing them right now. And I hired somebody to just completely do my back end for me 100%. It's important to learn how to do that when you're new, but when you start making sales, the amount of time it takes to do paperwork, the amount of times it takes to go back and forth with home office, it's time that could be used on a high activity, like high production activity. You know what I mean? Like, I can pay somebody to do something like that, but I can't pay somebody to go behind a computer and present. Only I can do that. I can't pay somebody to get on the phone with you, Eric, and help you get better at your sales. That helps the agency. You know what I mean? But I can pay somebody to do stuff like that. I'm paying my mom to be my bookkeeper. I just talk to her about that. I'm like, I'm gonna have all these employees. I need somebody to manage them. I can't do it. I had my friend do thank you cards for me before. I think they're important. I've been off the ball of doing it. I'm gonna start paying her to do it. Do stuff like that. I have somebody come and clean my apartment, not because I don't know how to clean, not because I think that I'm better than cleaning, but because it's a waste of time for me to clean when I could be using my time to do high production activities. What else do I do? I don't like have a chef come in and make me food, but I do like the meal services, stuff like that. Because again, time I take like cooking, time I take like it's all like time I take going to the grocery store. Everything I buy from Amazon, and I buy it in bulk, so I don't have to go on there multiple times and reorder the same thing. Because it's seconds, it's having a clock in your head and realizing, okay, like I'm doing all these things, and where is it getting me? It can be outsourced. So I mean, I'm a little bit weird, and like I said, when you're brand new, you need to not focus on outsourcing, and you need to focus on learning the skill set yourself. And when you start to have results, live below your means. You don't need nice stuff when you're in your 20s. You don't. If you're like driving a 2008 Hyundai like I do, I mean, you're still way richer than anybody in any other country in the world. I mean, that's still a luxury. I mean, think about the people we sit down with. Most of them don't even have cars. At least I have a vehicle that's going to get me from point A to point B. I don't need anything nice. And what that's going to allow me to do is, by the time I'm in my 30s, I'll be able to buy whatever vehicle that I want. So it's that mentality of like, I don't need nice stuff right now. Like, I don't care if my clothes come from Goodwill as long as they look presentable. You know what I mean? And I don't need everything right now. And I think that is what I'm pretty much doing, is developing systems. And it's a lot right now, because I'm trying to train all these people in order to put me in a position where I can have a really, really big month and just focus on running. And I mean, my schedule is going to be back to back to back to back. So I don't have to focus on calling. I don't have to focus on back end. I don't have to really focus on anything. And then I'm going to have a big month. And then what that's going to do personally for myself is give me the kind of the leverage that I need to better transition into leadership and focus on that more for the long term. I mean, and it's just like some personal reasons as to why I decided to do it that way, rather than just go full blown into the recruiting and leadership right now. But I'd say if you are in leadership, that's another thing that you can outsource: recruiting. Like, you don't need, if you've got money, if you're making sales, like pay for the job forms. Hire somebody to do it for you. like anything you can do to duplicate your time so you can focus on high production activities. I mean, it's worth it. I don't know if that's helpful at all.
No, it was just be humble and invest in your business, you know?
I will explain everything. And I know some of this can be a little like counterproductive, but I read a lot of books and listen to a lot of podcasts. And I mean, that's what a lot of successful people do. They live below their means when they're in their 20s until they get to their 30s and their 40s, and then they live off of the fruits. So, I mean, I don't know. Any other questions at all?
Ashley, I have another question.
Mhm.
Just going off of everything you just said, what's like your, if you don't mind me asking, what's your daily schedule look like? Like what time do you get up in the morning? When do you have time to, do the mind, body, spirit? Like when do you have time to read, listen to these podcasts? Because I know you're, literally running and gunning back to back to back, super busy. So like when do you find time to do those important things that aren't like necessarily part of the business?
Right, 100%. And I'm getting better with it because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Like I wasn't for a while. And that's why I'm trying to develop systems where I am outsourcing things. And eventually I will have more time. Right now, I have I go to like a trainer, and I didn't do this for a while. But now that I've been making money, I know I'm not going to do it on my own. So I might as well just pay somebody to force me to do it. But I'll go there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know a lot of people start at like 5 with that kind of stuff, but I just don't get to bed early enough where I need to do something like that. So I'll go to the trainer at 6 a.m. She usually keeps me a little bit longer than an hour. I come home, I shower really quick. And what I have is I've got a devotional, which is I've got a few different devotionals, but it'll take like one passage from the scripture and it'll give like a passage, kind of just connecting that and applying it to daily life. So I'll read that. I've got a prayer journal where it has like 4 blocks where it says, okay, this is what I'm thankful for. This is what I'm asking God for. This is what I learned from the scripture. And then please help me grow in these areas. So I'll just honestly take a little bit of time and do that. It doesn't take a ton of time, but to just get your mindset focused just on God, what you're grateful for, rather than all the problems. I mean, that's a good thing. I used to have I have a declaration book where I would like speak certain things to get my mind right. I haven't been utilizing that just for time recently, and I need to again. Throughout the day during no shows, if it's not like night prime time hours, that's when I'll take a few minutes to actually like physically read a book. And I think it's important to physically read because what it does is it cuts you open and it shows you things about yourself that you don't always get when you audibly listen to things. It gives you a new perspective on stuff, and it just also, I'm not great at focusing, but it develops the skill set in order to be able to focus too by physically reading. So I try, and I haven't been the best with being the most consistent with reading. And as soon as I get these systems into place, I'm going to be more so, but like throughout no shows, that's when I'll actually read like the books. And then at night, what I'll do is after like my 9 p.m.s, that's when I'm listening to my podcast. That's when I'm listening to sermons, something that's going to grow me spiritually, or something that's going to grow me like in the business. And that's when I'll kind of multitask, and I'll calendar plan, and I'll organize, and I'll reset for the day. I have a speaker in my bathroom. Like when I'm showering, when I'm getting ready, I'll have motivation on, but it's a lot of multitasking. And something that I've learned that I need to do as well is throughout the day, in between presentations, is I do need to take some time to mentally reset. I can't just run and gun. So I'll get out of a presentation, I'll put my headphones on, I'll listen to some worship music, and I'll walk around the block, and I'll get my mind right. And then I'll come back in and I'll get at it again. So I think like throughout the day, it still is important to take like 5 to 10 minute breaks. But I mean, right now I'm still utilizing Monday and Thursday as call days. And then I'm running Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I mean, what I would like is to have back-to-back presentations my run days. Sunday mornings, I do go to church, so I calendar plan it. So I start my first presentation at noon, but in the morning, I focus on just my spiritual health. And I think it's more important for me to be in an environment that's filled with the Holy Spirit than just be at home by myself, because that goes a lot further than anything that I can do on my own. So that's the only run day that I'm not running back to back to back. Today I have this. So again, my first one is at 12 and I'm supposed to follow up with a referral right now, but that's okay. Like a personal, but it should be a quick presentation. I'll call her after this. But I'd say like calendar planning is really important so that when you do have life stuff, you can block it off. When you're in a relationship, I wouldn't recommend like doing run days 24/7 like I do, because it's just, like I said, you need to plan time for people that are important in your life. So planning things like date night, not just doing it whenever you feel like it, but okay, Friday, every night at 7 p.m., that's when we're going to do it. And I'm going to run like 9 to 7 or something like that, or 9 to 5. Next week, I have to go out of town for my best friend's wedding. And I was just like, okay, like, how am I going to make this happen? Like, I still am running and gunning. I'm training all these people. I can't afford to take time off work. So I'm flying on Saturday, 7 a.m., planning to get there at 9:30 a.m., having my sister pick me up from the airport to pick out something to wear and pick out a gift, going to the wedding, and then spending the night at the hotel, going to church with my family in the morning, flying back here, and then running a 5, 7, and 9 appointment. So just planning that kind of stuff when it does happen and being efficient with it, not just wandering into it. But because life does happen. But I typically will do evens on a particular day and odds on a particular day until I get to a point where my presentation is short enough where I can run appointments on every single hour. It's just too long to do that right now. But my goal would be back to back to back. Right now it's not happening because I'm training people and I'm doing other things. So I can't get the schedule that I want where I am running back to back to back. But that would be just the goal and the game plan, to literally on days that are Fridays, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. And I mean, my presentation doesn't take me a full 2 hours anymore. So in between them, taking that time to just really reset. I don't know if that's helpful at all, or that gives you an idea.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm more than willing to stay on with you guys if anyone has any other questions.
You're awesome.
I do have a quick, Mason, go ahead. I already asked.
Okay.
I just said she's awesome.
Okay. Thanks, Mason. You're awesome.
Ashley, real quick, just, you don't have to go into too much detail, but when you're scheduling out your day, like with your daily planner or whatever, do you do that like every, Sunday night? Like you pick one day of the week where you schedule out the whole week, and then you like revisit that every night before the day starts? And,
Yep.
Do you break it down? Like, do you start by, just breaking down like what you're going to do each hour, or do you just look at, I have a list of 10 things I got to do. Where can I prioritize each of these things throughout the day? Like, how do you approach that?
Great question. So I have a 3-month planner. If I can find it, let me pull it. So I just switched it over because I ran out of it, but it's like this Fox planner, and it's 3 months. And then like whenever I have, again, it doesn't have anything in here because I just literally threw out my old one. But it has like, okay, like on the month, like you can write like major events. And then like, if I know I have to do something like sales coffee, like I just pencil it in, okay, 10 a.m. on Friday. So I can kind of keep track on that date over the next 3 months. And when I know something's going to come up, I kind of pencil it in on those days. It'll have like 5 a.m. through 10 p.m. on here listed. And I don't go into like, just specifically writing everything out, but I'll be like, okay, I have to do all these things right here this day. And I'll take one of these appointment spreadsheets, and I'll highlight like the times that I'm running, and I'll write that in. And then what I'll do is, okay, well, I know like I know like I'm going to the gym during that time, but like if I have sales copy at 10 a.m., I'll write that there. And if I have a list of back end to do, I'll make a note from 10 to 12. I'm getting that knocked out and make a list beside it in this like to-do list of like what I'm trying to accomplish during those 2 hours and everything that needs to be knocked out. I really struggle with organization, so I need to be intentional about this kind of stuff, or it doesn't happen, or I become like a scattered mess. But I'd say this planner has been very helpful because it asks from 5 a.m. to 10 and every half hour. So I'll just kind of pencil major events in, and then I'll like write like 2 lines with like a time block. Okay, like this is the block that I'm going to focus on back end. This is the block that I'm gonna take to do the team event, and then everything else is just assumed that it's running appointments or calling. I know in my head some of this stuff, but then some of the stuff I need to write down. Make sense? I don't know. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it, but I'd say I just utilize this planner and I utilize these things, and then I'll even write on that. Okay, like I'm going to church at 9 a.m. and my first appointment's going to be at 12, and I'll write those things like in this thing as well, just so I can physically see it in front of me for the day. And I'll like rewrite the time slots in this little like lead page too. Like I'll redo those. I don't use like the set ones, but I'll do that every night. And then like every night before I start my day, I'll do that. But it's like an ongoing adding stuff in, and usually on like Sunday night or something like that, that's when I'll just really do an overview of the entire week.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you. That was helpful.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Really quick, an overview of the entire week means going back through your week and seeing if you forgot anything or need to add anything into your next week. Does it mean just
like,
looking ahead?
The week moving forward, I just kind of game plan, okay, well, I need to accomplish this and this week. This is the time slots that we're going to put it in. Like and just realizing when I have major events, I need to like book flights.